Hi, my name's Eric. I'll be reading you selections from the e-edition of today's Cape Cod Times. Today's date is Monday, June 24th of 2024. And we'll start with the weather, as we always do, across the Cape and Islands today. Cloudy with thunderstorms in places. Breezy and very humid, a high of 79 expected. It will feel warmer than that. So try to stay cool if you can and hydrated, of course, as we've been saying for the past week, and I'm sure you've heard in many, many different outlets. Tonight, mainly cloudy in the overnight with a low of 63 expected. Tomorrow, partly sunny and pleasant. High of 82, a low of 66, and while the temperature might be higher at 82 expected during the day, it will be less humid than today and might feel even more comfortable. Wednesday, though, the humidity returns, mostly cloudy and breezy. Humidity there, high of 81, low of 67. On Thursday, cloudy and humid again, high of 80, low of 61. And on Friday, looks like it's going to be sunny and pleasant with maybe a little bit less humidity in the air. The sun will rise at 5:08 a.m. It will set at 8:20 p.m. today. We'll have 15 hours and 11 minutes of daylight. The moon will rise at 10:57 p.m. It will set at 7:31 a.m. Now, we'll head to the front of the paper where the news and the lottery results are kept. And we read the lottery results because somebody asked for them. If there's something you would like read to people who are blind or print disabled, you can email us at info@audiblelocalledger.org or call us at 508-539-2030, and we'll consider reading it. And if you miss any of the information that we share in our readings, you can always go to audiblelocalledger.org, and in the upper right corner is the Archived Readings tab. Click on that, and you'll find a week's worth of our newspaper readings so you can catch up on anything that you might have missed. And our shopping guides are up there so you can hear what's on sale at the grocery store. And all of that is free for people who are blind or print disabled at audiblelocalledger.org, the Archived Readings tab. For the latest results of the lottery, we go to the masslottery.com website because the Cape Cod Times goes to press too early to give it to you. And if you ask for it, you deserve the latest results. So for the numbers game of Sunday, June 23rd, in the midday drawing, the numbers were 4, 6, 6, 3. Yesterday's midday drawing numbers game results were 4, 6, 6, 3. In the evening drawing last night of the numbers game, the results were 3, 1, 6, 4. Again, 3, 1, 6, 4 for the numbers game of Sunday, June 23rd's evening drawing. For Mass Cash for Sunday, June 23rd, the results were 3, 10, 22, 27, and 34. And Lucky for Life rounds out our lottery results for Sunday, June 23rd with 3, 5, 23, 43, and 46, with 8, the bonus number. Good luck to all who play. Remember us if you win. From the front page of the Cape Cod Times of June 24th, the headline reads, Hessian acquitted. Former Cape Cod priest found not guilty on 2 rape charges in trial by Walker Armstrong. A Barnstable Superior Court found Mark Hessian, the former Cape Cod priest accused of rape, not guilty Friday on 2 counts of rape alleged to have occurred between 2005 and 2008. The jury deadlocked, however, on 1 count of indecent assault and battery on a child under 14 alleged to have taken place in 2002. Judge Mark C. Gildea declared a mistrial on the charge of indecent assault and battery on a child under 14, saying the jury was hopelessly deadlocked. A status hearing on the indictment will be held August 19th in Barnstable Superior Court. Outside the courthouse following the verdict, Hessian and his defense team, attorneys Frank Corso and Paolo Corso, said they had no comment on the verdict. We believed in our case, said Cape and Islands District Attorney Rob Galaboyce following the verdict. I want to recognize the victim's courage to come into court to testify, and we respect the juror's verdict. Following closing statements made by the defense and prosecution on June 14th, court was adjourned over the weekend without the jury reaching a verdict. They were then instructed by Gildea to return to court Monday morning at 10:30 a.m. to continue deliberations. In total, the jury deliberated for 5 days. Hession, who served as the parish priest of Our Lady of Victory in Centerville from 2000 to 2014, pleaded not guilty to all charges stemming from his January 2021 indictment. The defense rested their case on June 13th without calling Hession to the stand. Paolo Corso said June 14th the prosecution's case against Hession was based on faulty testimony from an uncredible witness, calling the accusations revisionist history. During the defense's testimony, 4 witnesses who had worked at Our Lady of Victory testified that they never saw Hession engage in any inappropriate behavior with the accuser. Prosecuting the case, Cape and Islands Assistant District Attorney Alexandra Halprin Isaacs outlined the allegations in closing statements on June 14th, underscoring that the case is about sexual abuse and a dynamic that functioned on Hession abusing his position of power. What was the timeline for the allegations? A 36-year-old man testified at June 11th that he was sexually abused in 2002 by the former Cape Cod priest while working on a science class project at the church. The accuser, who at the time was 13, said Hession raped him, saying he was forced to receive and perform oral sex. At the time, he said he never told anyone about the alleged abuse, saying he trusted Hession and calling him the closest thing to God. The defense focused on the absence of eyewitness testimony supporting the accuser's claims. Isaacs pointed out some of the witnesses didn't know the accuser or didn't see Hession in the church often due to conflicting schedules. Hession was ordained in 1984 and served at 12 different institutions in the Cape Cod and Fall River areas. In 2009, he delivered the homily at the funeral for U.S. Senator Edward M. Kennedy in Boston. He's been listed on a publicly accused list by the Roman Catholic Diocese of Fall River since 2021. This list includes religious leaders publicly named in media reports and by advocacy groups for alleged sexual abuse of minors. Hession has been on leave from active ministry since 2019 due to conduct deemed inconsistent with priestly standards following complaints of inappropriate communications by parishioners at Our Lady of Mount Carmel in Seekonk. The next headline in today's Cape Cod Times of June 24th, a Monday: Scholarship Fund honors sandwich student killed in motocross crash, by Walker Armstrong. Community members are mourning the death of a 14-year-old East Sandwich boy after a dirt bike crash June 15th at a Wareham motocross track. The boy's death marked the second fatal crash at the track in 3 years. The injured boy, Colby Andrew Lippincott, 14, was taken to Toby Hospital in Wareham, where he was pronounced dead. Diamond MX motocross track, where the crash occurred, posted about a GoFundMe campaign in memory of the boy on its Facebook page. Lippincott was known for his academic excellence and passion for adventure sports, including dirt biking. He was actively involved in his community and his church. Colby was a diligent honors student at Sandwich Middle High School, where he excelled in engineering, math, and science, his obituary reads. His teachers voted him as most likely to break a world record. A scholarship fund has been created to honor the boy's memory, according to the obituary. Emergency responders went to Diamond MX on Atwood Farm Way in East Wareham following a 911 call about a dirt bike crash shortly after 12:35 p.m., according to Plymouth County District Attorney Tim Cruz. Course operator says all safety measures were in place. With sadness in our hearts, we must address a tragedy that happened today at the track, Diamond MX said in a statement on its Facebook page. The Diamond MX family extends our deepest condolences to the rider's family and all involved. In its statement, the company said all safety measures were in place at the time. Diamond MX is committed to providing a safe riding experience, the statement said. We can confidently say all safety measures were taken and in place today. The motocross community partakes in riding for the fun, freedom, and escape it provides for us. And with that being said, we also know the risk that's involved. Diamond MX was closed the day after the crash, the track's management said, out of respect for the family and track employees. State police detectives are investigating. Additionally, Wareham police reported that an officer responding to the scene was involved in a motor vehicle accident and was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. A 13-year-old Carver girl, Ava Piopi, died in a crash at the track in September of 2021. The track was called Wareham MX and under different ownership before it was sold and renamed. The GoFundMe campaign launched in memory of Colby Lippincott, organized by Nicholas Costaris, aims to support his family, and as of Friday morning, approximately $10,000 has been raised. Moving inside the paper, keeping it local with a Cape Pond update, Pilgrim Lake in Orleans under a public health advisory by Eric Williams. If you're a fan of swimming in Cape Cod ponds or your pet has been known to take a dip, it's a good idea to keep up to date with the latest cyanobacteria monitoring information. The Association to Preserve Cape Cod, the APCC, along with volunteers, pond associations, towns, and the state, is monitoring more than 100 freshwater ponds for concentrations of cyanobacteria, that's blue-green algae, and toxins produced by the bacteria. These toxins can affect the liver and nerves and cause sickness in people and animals. When levels rise, association staff members alert towns. The towns then may post a prohibition on swimming and other activities in the pond until the algal population drops. What causes blue-green algae blooms? The blooms usually occur in the late summer, fueled by warm water or high levels of nutrients from fertilizer, runoff, or wastewater that's seeping through the soil. But Cape ponds remain warm into the fall, and algal blooms have occurred as late as December, according to officials. Here are the Cape Cod ponds that are under alert or a watch for cyanobacteria. In Mashpee or Sandwich, the Mashpee Wakeby Pond. In Mashpee and Sandwich is under a potential for concern after an active scum layer was reported to the Mashpee Department of Natural Resources on June 21st and confirmed to contain cyanobacteria species. Children and pets are more likely to be exposed to toxins if contaminated water or scum are incidentally ingested. Children may inadvertently consume cyanobacterial cells while swimming or when they interact with scum in the sand on the shore. And in Orleans, Pilgrim Lake. Pilgrim Lake in Orleans is under a public health advisory after a sample was taken June 18th and revealed the presence of a potentially harmful algal bloom. It may be unsafe for people and pets. The public is advised not to swim in the pond or drink the water. Keep pets away. If you come into contact with the water, rinse it off immediately. Note, if you notice pond water is scummy or discolored and may have a strong odor, the association advises the public to avoid contact with the water. If you see what might be a suspicious cyanobacteria bloom, notify your local health department and send a photo to cyano, C-Y-A-N-O, at apcc.org, noting the location, date, and time. From the Cape and Islands section, Wellfleet passes 2 measures. Voters okay debt exclusion in narrow vote, and town gets office and storage space by Denise Coffey in Wellfleet. One day after a special town meeting gave its blessing to spend $1.7 million to buy land for town offices and storage, voters approved the measure at the ballot box on a close vote. The measure to buy the Gestalt Center at Monday's special town meeting passed on a 180 to 54 vote. In Tuesday's election, the margin was tighter. 11 votes separated the yeas from the nays. With 20.6% of the town's registered voters turning out, the vote to approve a debt exclusion to pay for the purchase was 335 to 324. Your votes really count. Wellfleet has struggled to put its financial house in order for years after several town administrators and financial officials left office. The town has had trouble converting to a different software system, training staff to use it, and it experienced discrepancies in accounts and shortfalls between expenses and revenues. It wasn't until 2022 that books were finally closed on fiscal years 2020 and 2021. The troubles were enough to get the State Department of Revenue involved. Wellfleet has had to rely on a number of debt exclusions to pay for articles passed at town meetings in the past few years. The purchase of the Gestalt Center required a debt exclusion vote, even though Town Administrator Tom Guarino said there would be no tax rate increase as a result. With debt coming off the town's rolls, the new debt wouldn't increase the tax rate, he said. At town meeting, he laid out the debt payments for fiscal years 2025 through 2029 to show voters the impact. Because the debt was tied to a specific purchase, it needed a debt exclusion vote, according to moderator Dan Silverman. Plenty of voters were leery of that line of reasoning because of major projects coming down the line, including sewer expansion, dredging, and costs affiliated with the Lawrence Road Affordable Housing Project. The town's current debt ratio is 9.7%, according to Finance Committee member Francis Conroy. 10% is the limit, according to state statute. He said dredging and sewer capital projects were estimated at $15 million and $54 million, respectively. Conroy voted against recommending the article. The Select Board was unanimous in its support of the article, and the Finance Committee voted 4-2 to support the article. The building is fairly new. It comes with furniture. It will fulfill a need for office and storage space. The septic passed inspection and is close to move-in condition, said Guarino. The $1.7 million purchase will give the town a building with about 4,400 square feet on 2.45 acres, with room for employee offices, meeting space, and dry storage space. The Wellfleet Food Pantry is in discussions with town officials to find a new location for the nonprofit's grocery space. One possibility, according to pantry manager Sandy Galvin, is to rent space at the Gestalt Center. Also from the Cape and Islands section, What to Know About Cape Cod Vacation Rentals According to the Experts by Susan Vaughn as a special to the Cape Cod Times. Thinking of coming to Cape Cod this summer? Well, there are still options for last-minute vacationers according to local rental agencies. Not much open in July or the beginning of August. Martha Murray, who runs Martha Murray Vacation Rentals, managing 249 rentals in Dennis, Yarmouth, and Harwich, said. Rentals were at a high during the pandemic years of 2020 and 2023, but this year is seeing a return to pre-pandemic times, which has resulted in less traffic, according to a report from Cape rental agency We Need a Vacation. The reduced demand has also created greater availability and some softening of prices recently, a company press release stated. We're learning we have to come back to reality. There are a lot more options and less searches for Cape Cod, Samantha Williams, Director of Client Services for We Need a Vacation, said. Marilyn McDonough, who rents a 3-bedroom home near downtown and a beach in Harwich Port through We Need a Vacation, said it's rented through most of the summer. The Times asked the following questions that potential renters might ask agents about Cape Cod. So here's a compilation of their answers. Can you rent a house on Cape Cod? Local realtors and rental agencies and national companies like Airbnb and Vrbo, that's VRBO, have a large range of houses for rent. WeNeedAVacation.com lists nearly 4,000 properties on Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard, and Nantucket, from condos and cottages to all sizes of homes. 1-bedroom units rent from $1,500 a week, while large homes can go for as much as $25,000 to $35,000 a week. What's the rental season on Cape Cod? The Cape rental season doesn't start until June 29th, and it goes through mid-August, Murray said. But several agency websites showed many places were rented in June. How many days do you need on Cape Cod? All the agents agreed a week is enough. Visitors can experience enough of the Cape in a week, from day trips to nightlife, according to Liz Green of ERA Realty, which serves the Mid-Cape. Is it expensive to vacation on Cape Cod? Well, everyone has a different idea of what's expensive, but everything has gone up, including rents, Murray said. All the agents said the combined 14.5% state and local lodging taxes have caused the biggest increase since they were instituted in 2019. What's the best time to go to Cape Cod? Well, for a family, summer's the most amazing, Williams said, but all the renters agreed September is optimal. September's best month on the Cape, where the water is still warm, everything is still open, and fall's in the air, Green said. Is Cape Cod crowded in July? The busiest time on the Cape is the last 2 weeks in July and the first 2 weeks in August, the agents agreed. But they said August, before school starts, is becoming more popular. How busy is Cape Cod in June? June's tricky, Williams said. Kids are still in school. We get an increase in calls as soon as it gets warmer. Also, more homeowners may come in June before they rent their homes for the summer, and families with preschool children may come then, the agents said. Well, speaking of school being out and the real estate market, school being out, school's out for summer, capturing the moment on Cape Cod. Yes, there's a photo shoot of the last day of school. This is by Steve Heslip, who's the photographer for the Cape Cod Times. Thanks to a mild winter, many schools wrapped up their last day of classes early on Flag Day this year. Cheers and tears as the young academics completed another year of education and lugged home a locker's worth of papers and clothing not seen by parents since last fall. Growing up as a child of 2 teachers, the school year also bookmarked our home life. When the last bell rang on a hot June day, the entire family headed out into summer vacation. As townies who walked to school would line up to yell goodbyes to classmates heading out on an armada of yellow buses into the Canestio, New York Hill Country. Many we wouldn't see until September. Looking back, it's surprising what was taken for granted, 2.5 months of vacation, basically all the days of summer. School started the Tuesday after Labor Day back then. I imagine my desire to photograph the last day of school year after year is an attempt to capture that feeling. The tension builds in the final 30 minutes awaiting dismissal. The last act our teachers did every year was hand us our report cards, the final tally of a year's hard work, not without some surprises, both happy and sad, and then a final message over the PA system from the principal before heading home. Trying to capture all this in a single photo each year is a challenge. I've no secret for being in the right place at the correct time. I look for a good composition down one of the bus lines, and then I just wait. The action happens fast, and then a final wave from the teachers, and it's summer vacation. Teachers head back to their classrooms, and the photojournalist heads to a hot car to send in photos ahead of a midday deadline, always wondering, what would it be like to have the entire summer off? But better to look back on all the summers off long ago and be reminded of the Dr. Seuss quote, "Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened." And that is a beautiful sentiment to transition to a different kind of local news, the obituaries and death notices that are listed in the Cape Cod Times for Monday, June 24th of 2024. There are 2 obituaries. The first is of Roland Wesley Toby of Oakdale, who at the age of 82 peacefully transitioned from his earthly journey to his heavenly home on June 18th of 2024. He was born December 6th, 1941 in Boston. He grew up in Pocasset before moving to the Quaker Hill area of Waterford, Connecticut with his family. He attended Waterford High School for a year before joining the U.S. Marine Corps. His service in the Marines began January 3rd, 1960. He was honorably discharged December 28th of 1967. During his time in the military, Roland received a Good Conduct Medal. Roland, or Bosie, as he was affectionately called, was employed at General Dynamics Electric Boat Division in Groton as a mechanical inspector. After 55 years of working for EB, Roland retired in April of 2021. On August 22nd of 1964, he married his soulmate and love of his life, Yvonne Horner. They were joined in holy matrimony by the late Reverend A. Garvin at Shiloh Baptist Church in New London, Connecticut. Roland was very proud of his Native American heritage. He was given the name Sky Eyes and was honored to be an elder of the Wampanoag tribe in Massachusetts. He attended the annual powwows on the Cape every 4th of July weekend. In addition to his beloved and devoted wife, Yvonne, Roland leaves many who will miss him dearly. His celebration of life will be held on Wednesday, June 26th at 11 a.m. That's this Wednesday at Shiloh Baptist Church, 1 Garvin Street, New London, Connecticut. Family and friends may view at the church at 10 a.m. until time of service. Interment will follow at Cedar Grove's Cemetery in New London, Connecticut, with military honors. The arrangements are entrusted to the Lester G. Funeral Home. Mr. Toby, thank you for your service and sacrifice for the country. The other obituary in today's Cape Cod Times of Monday, June 24th, is of Bruce W. Anderson of Brewster, who at the age of 79 passed on Monday, June 17th. He's survived by his wife of 58 years, Eileen Anderson, and many friends and family who will miss him dearly. His family would like to thank his doctors at the Cancer Center in Hyannis for their care over the last 11 years. As per Bruce's request, there will be no funeral or services, but a celebration of life will be held at a later date. And that concludes the obituaries and death notices that are listed in today's Cape Cod Times of Monday, June 24th of 2024. And we have finished all of the local news, so we will close out this half-hour reading of the Cape Cod Times today with a little bit of advice from Ask Carolyn. Dear Carolyn, I love my best friend since childhood dearly, but she believes she's the world's biggest victim of middle child syndrome when I think she can act rather spoiled. She had a baby 7 months ago and complains constantly about how her parents aren't stepping up compared with how much they help with her older sister's kids. I know her parents. They're lovely people who care for their daughter and their newest grandchild deeply. They do help a lot with the other kids, but the imbalance is primarily circumstantial, namely distance. 10 minutes from the sister, 45 minutes from her on a highway in good traffic. Our parents all have more limits than they used to even a couple of years ago. Recently, she confessed to me that she's seriously thinking of cutting them off from her son entirely after they refused to come babysit so she and her husband could have a date night for their anniversary. She said their reasoning, that they're not comfortable driving in the dark anymore, was an excuse. I gently tried to suggest she's not viewing her parents fairly and tried to probe whether she's dealing with any postpartum depression that's clouding her judgment. But she just said, "Of course I'm depressed when my parents blatantly favor their other grandkids." She then refused to respond to any of my texts or calls for the next 2 weeks. I've since avoided the topic with her, but I believe she'll do it. It will devastate her parents, rob her son of his grandparents, and drive a wedge with her other siblings. I don't know how to get through to her. Help, best friend. Dear best friend, it must be crazy making to watch this play out. For her to deny her child these grandparents just because she refuses to accept a ridiculously common problem, declining night vision in older adults, is parental malpractice. I've talked myself into advising more forceful truth-telling now with a grandchild involved. She may cut you off for it too, so weigh that risk before you speak up. But a clear, loving statement seems warranted. It's so painful for me to watch you vilify your parents and discount how much they love you, when advancing age explains their decisions so much better than favoritism does. I know you've felt the middle child problem forever, but bad night vision is a thing. Postpartum depression is too, so humor me for a second. What if you decided just to trust me on these for a while and held off on any big decisions at least till this wild new baby time is behind you? If you're right about favoritism, then you'll still be right 2 or 3 years from now, and you can deal with it then. But if you're wrong, rushing to cut ties now could do real harm. Adapt with your own words, of course, as always. A reader also suggested talking to the husband about the possible postpartum depression. Usual disclaimer, you can't make someone listen who doesn't want to. Plus an extra disclaimer, there could be stuff in this family even you don't know about. But still, best friends have standing to break glass in case of emergency. So good luck. And with that great advice, we've come to the end of our reading of the Cape Cod Times for Monday, June 24th of 2024. This is your reader, Eric, saying be well, be safe, look after each other. Remember our veterans, especially those who have passed. Bye for now.